a lot of times when people ask questions along this line of like, when was there a moment, right? When was there a moment that you realized discipline? Or when was there a moment you realized leadership? Or when was there a moment you realized detachment? Kind of like the question here, when was there a moment you realized, for lack of a better way of saying it, I'm a person, right? I'm a person with my own thoughts and I can make things happen. And for me, all those answers are usually fairly gradual. You know, there's like a little thing that indicates, and you get a clue, and then you move a little bit further down that road, then you get another clue, and then you move a little bit further down that road and you get another clue. So that's what I would say for me, life was like. You know, when I was a little kid, I was kind of slowly discovering that I was a person, I was a human. I remember my mom took me shopping. I was probably about 10 years old and I needed to get pants for school. And my mom took me shopping. And when I went into the store, there was a girl that was, I don't know what they're called in a store, a retail sales girl. Mm-hmm. She was probably about 16. And I started chatting her up, right? And I kind of recognized it a little bit, but I sort of didn't too. And I just was chatting to this girl and I was making her laugh. I was having a good time with the whole thing and, you know, putting on the pants and spinning around like, and she was laughing. And I remember when we left the store with the pants and my mom was sort of talking to me about the fact that, what were you trying to do to that girl? And I was thinking to myself, well, I kind of liked that girl. She was pretty. And I don't know why that popped into my head, but I just remember thinking, hey man, there's a whole world out there and let's go make it happen. When I joined the military, you join the military and you get a blank slate. So no one cares where you came from. No one cares what you did. You were the captain of the football team, captain of the soccer team. No one cares. No one cares what your grades were. No one cares what you got on the SATs and no one cares about anything. You're a blank slate. And then with that blank slate, it is, hey, if you do this thing, if you perform this task and you perform it well, you will get recognition. You will hopefully get more control over your own destiny, which is the ultimate in compensation for human beings. To have more control over your own destiny is the ultimate compensation. You know, you and I were talking before we hit record, like you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't control what you're doing every day, or at least you don't control most of what you're doing, then it's not worth it. The reason people try and make money is so they can have more autonomy in their life. And so in the military, it becomes very clear, and it became very clear to me very quickly that if I performed well, I actually got a lot more freedom with what I did. Even in boot camp, you know, if you pass an inspection in boot camp, you don't have to redo your locker or you don't have to make your bed again because you did it right the first time. And so you have an extra 15 minutes. And so for me, really, that's when I started to realize, oh, what I'm doing right now is going to impact not only what's going to happen to me in the next hour, but in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And I think that's the biggest miss that we have when we're growing up. And I know you had your challenges and tribulations as you were growing up because you didn't realize, oh, what I'm doing right now is going to affect where I'm going to be in the future. And it didn't happen until you were out of high school and you went to junior college and you're like, oh, wait a second, I can actually put my life together in a positive way. When you're 14, you're thinking, hey, what am I going to do tomorrow? That's basically future operations. Or what am I going to do tomorrow?
At 14, I was like, where am I going to get the Slurpee? Which curbs am I going to hit skateboarding? And where are we going to play video games tonight? Or what girls are we going to hang out with? That was kind of the mindset at 14.
Yeah, and then at some point you learned, and so did I, oh, the way the actions that I take now are either going to positively impact my future or they're going to negatively impact my future. And the more I focused on doing things that are going to positively impact my future, the better my life became. And I think that's a very huge lesson to learn that I know I didn't figure out for quite some time. It was a really good book, and I ended up doing about 4 podcasts on this book, which is called The Psychology of Military Incompetence. And when I first saw that title,
amazing title.
I know. And when I first saw that title, I thought to myself, oh, you know, this is some academic that's going to look at the military and bash it. But I did a little research, and it turned out that the guy that had written the book, and I can't think of his name right now, he was a guy that had served in World War II, was wounded. I mean, this guy understood what he was talking about. And it's really an obvious concept once you think about it. And the basic premise is this: the military, when you look at it from the outside, it's this orderly place. It's a place where everything has a place. It's a place where if you have a certain rank on your shoulder, you will command respect and people have to listen to you. That's what it looks like. So it's an attractive place for people that have an authoritarian mindset, for people that want to just, hey, don't question what I'm saying. Just shut up and do what I tell you to do. There's people that love that. There's people that want to live like that. You've worked for them. I've worked for them. We've experienced those type of people throughout our lives. That authoritarian mindset that just want to bark orders and have people listen to them. And so when those people are 14 years old or 16 years old or 18 years old, and they look at the military and they see a uniform and they see people saluting and they see orders being carried out and they think, that's where I'm going to go and I can get the respect that I deserve. And the military certainly attracts people like that. And those people that have that highly disciplined and orderly mindset can do well inside the military, especially in garrison. And we were talking about this earlier, the word garrison. I don't think there's a civilian equivalent to this word, but it basically means the non-combat situation. So when you're out on the parade field, when you're going through schooling where there's no combat involved, when you're marching, like those kind of things, we call that garrison. It's in the rear. It's not in combat. And the people with an authoritarian mindset actually do pretty well in garrison situations. Why? Because things are orderly and you can predict what's going to happen. And you do get a certain issue of gear, and that gear is going to be delivered on time, and you're going to shoot this number of rounds down at the range, and everything is going to go according to plan. That's what garrison is. And so those people join the military, they're attracted to that, and they end up doing well in peacetime. Now, unfortunately for them, combat is a lot different. Nothing goes the way it's supposed to go. The bullets don't get delivered on time. The enemy has a vote on the way things are going to unfold. And you end up in combat in being in very chaotic situations. So the type of person that thrives in combat has a more open mind, has a more flexible mind, is paying more attention to the input that they're receiving, as opposed to someone with an authoritarian mindset. They don't listen to anybody else. They make up their own mind. They bark orders. With someone that has a more open mindset, they're listening. They're taking input. They're evolving their plan. And those type of people excel in a combat situation. Now, unfortunately, and this is sort of the stereotype too, you take that dog of war and you put him back into a garrison environment, he doesn't do well. Right? He's not showing up on time for the inspection. He didn't get his hair cut. He doesn't have his weapon cleaned the way it's supposed to be cleaned because he's got his weapon ready for combat, not ready for inspection. And so you get this, there are these two different types of people. And of course, with those two different types of people, there's degrees going in one direction or the other. But what you hope for is someone that can play the game on the garrison side, and yet when it comes time to go into combat, they can also open their mind, be flexible, be creative. I mean, that's what you really want, is you want someone that is very good at solving problems. And to do that, you need to have a creative, open mind to figure out how we're going to deal with something. So I think that's a stereotype. The stereotype is that everyone in the military is sort of robotic and falling into the hierarchy, and we bark orders and people follow orders. And that's just not true. There is an element of truth to it, but is not the whole truth. And certainly, if you look at history, the people that excel in combat are the people that maybe have a little bit of a rebellious streak, people that have that are just more creative and more open-minded.